And they are not in any way spiritually committed to the spiritual values of Islam. You know, their weapon is the Kalashnikov, and take out all opponents of it, rather than any kind of spiritual development. So the Taliban rejects popular Islam in favour of a literalist Protestant style rereading of the most ancient text of Islam, in order to get a new neo-fundamental vision of what it ought to be all about, of a wholly unprecedented kind. We may consider the conclusions of the Taliban misguided, but does that render them easy? And in any event, even if one was to conclude that they're evil, well, I'll leave that to the philosophers, is the use of that declaration to justify the deployment of unlimited force in an effort to get them to see the error of their ways, a very good way of changing their minds? Or will such attacks as are now being deployed by our forces, by our boys as it happens, as well as the Americans and the large chunks of the Pakistani army, will these attacks simply convince the Taliban and their supporters of their own righteousness, and that their crusading critics are simply ungodly oppressors, and all in their poodle? On humanitarian grounds, I am no admirer whatsoever of neo-fundamentalism, whether it comes in a Christian or an Islamic garb, because the neo-fundamentalism of Islam, large parts of it have been borrowed, in fact, from the Christian neo-fundamentalist Protestant tradition. However, it seems to me efforts to write off its supporters and their principles as evil, and or to bomb them into the Stone Age, can only be expected to reinforce their determination to resist, which is precisely what's going on now in Afghanistan and Pakistan right now, and can only be expected to lead to a stalemate. Advanced militaries never win against guerrillas. Guerrillas don't win against the advanced military either. You get a smashed up state. Possibly of the kind that is already visible in Somalia and other places around the world. We should be desperately worried about what's happening. So how might this vicious spiral be reversed? And one thing we can be sure of, it won't be easy and it won't be quick. So some sensible steps towards the solution. I think we go through one by one here. Yeah. Firstly, remember history. A great game has been going on in this area for 150 years, partly because of the position it occupies between South Asia and Central Asia. It is the cockpit of an awful lot of going on regionally, and we can come back to that and discuss it. Secondly, lay off moral condemnation. I don't think this helps at all in trying to understand what is happening and who is in the right and who is in the wrong. Ultimately, I think I'm probably more in favour of the Taliban than the Americans, because at least the Taliban have some concrete commitment to justice, and colonialist, imperialist interventions from Britain and America do not generate any kind of justice, though we talk about it. So lay off moral condemnation. Thirdly, lay off the war on terror, because that's what's behind all of this. That is what he's fighting, financing the Pakistani army, and this is what he's financing the opposition to the Taliban in Afghanistan. Fourthly, close down Guantanamo, Bagram, settle Palestine, all those things, because they also have an impact. Everybody there knows exactly what America and Britain is doing in other parts of the world. Fifthly, lay off neo-colonial efforts by external actors to try and implement regime change in their own interest, and all by propping up corrupt regimes which happen to serve them, and where those who differ amongst themselves, to let them sort out the differences between themselves, instead of trying to engage in humanitarian and efforts, interventions to sort them out, because we're invariably trying to sort them out for our purposes and to our ends. I think, above all, learn to respect those who differ, and Afghanistan is not threatened. Pathans are not Indians, nor are Pathans Persian. Yeah? There are many different groups here who have different lifestyles, different priorities, different interests. And it's not just that Muslims differ from Christians. Amongst Muslims, those following the various sectarian interpretations and involved in various different communities differ amongst themselves. But above all, I think, gives Islam an opportunity to reground itself. Because what's happening now is such as the extent of Western intervention through the war in terror and all sorts of manipulation, that I think contemporary Islamic neo-fundamentalism in large part to be understood as an angry response to encounters with Euro-American hegemony. Now, and until that is removed, the Taliban will always have a huge recruiting target in their country. As I said, I'm no fan of the Taliban. Yeah, personally, I find the Sufi tradition in Islam far more attractive and far more likely to produce social justice. And moreover, whenever the Taliban have gained power, as they did when they had the emirate in Kabul, their competency in governance was zero. And the Afghans know that perfectly well. You know, there are real challenges here. The problems at the moment are mostly self-generated by the external intervention, in my view.